Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Should you be over the moon about this pre-sequel? Well, let's find out. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, takes place between Borderlands 1 and 2, though mechanically it's really just more Borderlands 2 with some tweaks. You play as a new batch of Vault Hunters hired by Handsome Jack, villain in 2, but in pre-sequel just some middle manager with big dreams, and you're here to help him recapture the Hyperion space station and prevent them from blowing up Pandora's moon. As you can imagine, things go sour pretty quick, as this is Jack's ascension to being a crazy psychopath. Pre-sequel was also written by Anthony Birch, who wrote 2, and you can tell as it has the exact same sense of humor. It revels in being delightfully stupid, but also wants its more dramatic moments to still hit hard. It mostly delivers, especially watching Jack get more and more morally compromised, and it does provide good setup for 2. Gameplay-wise is also pretty much identical to Borderlands 2. You'll still be getting oodles of different guns from unique manufacturers, you'll be crafting builds across 3 skill trees and 6 playable characters, and you'll be earning badass rank by doing basically anything. The big wrinkles here are that you're on the moon, which lends itself to some unique mechanics. First off, you can moon jump, which, yeah, I mean, you're on the moon, that makes sense. And that adds the ability to slam down hard on the ground for huge damage. This also means the game has a larger focus on platforming because of your newfound verticality. The other big change is oxygen. If you're out in the open, you'll need to, be able to breathe on the moon to survive, and equipping new oxygen tanks provides more augments and abilities. A fun trick is human enemies wear oxygen masks, so headshots can break their helmets and cause them to suffocate. Weapons-wise, there's been minor adjustments here as well. There's a new laser-type weapon to play with, and slag has been axed and replaced with cryo, which is absurdly overpowered. Fire, caustic, shock, and explosions are still there, though fire's less useful as it can't burn if there's no oxygen. The structure of the game is identical to 2, just more moony. You'll have several large areas to drive around in doing quests, and some smaller, more linear ones to tackle on foot. There's really nothing all that new here. And really, that's pre-sequel. Kind of a big expansion pack to 2, chunked into its own game, with some minor improvements overall. So what do I like about Borderlands the pre-sequel? Well, I really like the playable characters in this one. They have just some of the wildest skill trees I've ever seen, even compared to 2, that lean into some inventive and downright experimental stuff, which made me want to play through all of them. Additionally, Handsome Jack being the focal point was a smart move, as he's not only the most interesting and memorable character in the franchise, seeing him be less of a dick was an interesting take, and his progression played well into Borderlands 2. And lastly, yeah, this is still Borderlands, so it has that super addicting loop. All the stuff worked in Borderlands 2, and it works here, just with more moon jumps and a tweaked loot and gameplay system that makes it more refined. When it comes to the bad, this certainly feels like an incremental or sideways upgrade compared to 2, rather than an actual sequel, with only a handful of new mechanics and systems, and most of it being lifted straight from 2. Additionally, while I do think the humor is still pretty good, it certainly has more duds this time around, with the story and locations you go to being less interesting overall, and sorry, I really just cannot stand Pickle. And lastly, this game has a really mid first half. There's even less fast travel stations than 2, you're now hindered by losing oxygen when outside, and the first batch of story and side missions are just bland fetch quests on fairly mediocre maps. Thankfully, it picks up significantly in its second half. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And I'm going to say it, I think the pre-sequel is underrated. It has some of the craziest skill builds in the series, low gravity mechanics a blast, and Handsome Jack once again completely steals the show. For me personally, whenever I have the itch to replay a Borderlands game, it's usually this one, because it's shorter, has a completely passable story, and has all the improvements from 2 baked in. It definitely feels like a big expansion pack rather than a full game, and its first half is pretty rough, but if you liked 2 and wanted more Jack, pre-sequel is absolutely so worth checking out today. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Did you play Borderlands the pre-sequel? This one was pretty polarizing, so I'd love to hear your take on it in the comments. But regardless, go out there and make sure you give it a look.